What's going on, Workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
And today we're talking about 2018. What are we excited about in video games?
It's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a great year.
We have put ourselves in a position to see some great things. What are you most excited to see happen in 2018 that did not happen in 2017?
Well, I mean, are we talking about things that aren't necessarily confirmed, though? Like, what I hope for 2018, what I feel is also pretty highly likely to happen? Or is it
Let's start with the confirmed. Let's start with what do we know is going to happen?
We know that we're going to get a new Crackdown on the Xbox that was delayed out of November. It was supposed to be a Xbox One X launch game, backwards compatibility with Xbox One, all that. But that got pushed out. That does concern me, but at the end of the day, it also seems pretty exciting and pretty, I'm really excited to see what happens with that game. And that should be pretty early in the spring from my understanding of it. Then also from both excitement and fear is Anthem. Now, no confirmed that it's going to release, but I would venture to bet, based off of what they've said and what we've heard, they're targeting 2018. But obviously with the fall, the things that have happened this fall, that could impact the release, that could impact the game's quality. So both of my things, those are the two things that I'm on the look for. We know we're not getting a new expansion for 14 in 2018, but we are going to FanFest in November, so that's a huge thing I'm excited about. We'll be there. Hopefully you will be too. If we are, let's get a drink. It's Vegas. You got if you don't drink, if you're under 18 or not,
lots
21.
of Pepsi.
Lots of Pepsi. So those are the big ones. I know they're doing more content releases for Final Fantasy 15 Season 2 Arden DLC. That for you who has no clue what I'm talking about, for you who does, that's awesome. I'm excited to learn more about Eos, this world, and obviously one of the main antagonists in the game itself. So we get with that.
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, is that this year?
Should be 2018.
Oh my gosh.
Can
we lock me in that room that we talked about in the other video where I could just play video games and somebody pays my bills?
I think that's likely. I think
Yes!
Kingdom Hearts looks likely for next year, just based on all the little tidbits we're seeing come out. I think a lot of this is going to hinge on how E3 goes next year, but that's not till June. So let's have this conversation now.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII looks tough for next year, but I would love to see the remake come out.
I just don't think it's happening in 2018. But I want them to do it right.
It could get hyped out of.
It's going to get hyped every year.
It could get hyped at E3, and we could see it for a nice spring of 2019.
I would love to see. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that. There's rumors that we'll be hearing more about another Pokemon game next year. If not, I would love to see more Pokemon ports over to the Switch.
Yeah,
even just port things that possibly people haven't played. I played the original Game Boy games, but a lot of people probably haven't. We've got a whole new generation of gamers that port all of them over, create some cool online interaction, some sort of database, maybe jump them all into some collector's edition where you can jump from title to title to title, like
Pokemon
different
collection,
worlds.
maybe.
Yeah, like a Mario 64. So you kind of just jump into different games, and that's unlocking big achievements.
Well, that ties into the
that's
Virtual
a
Console.
Simple, over the top thing, and these games can't be very big.
Yeah.
They were on cartridges.
No, they're super small.
A kid.
But the thing is that's one of the things we have not yet seen is Nintendo's console, like Virtual Console strategy, and they talked about it, and they said literally it's just been all quiet on the home front. And they talk about this online service from where you're subscribed to play online games. I'm fine with that. I support a subscription model if it means that the platform has the power and the features that we want. Like we can complain like, oh, you have to pay for Xbox and PSN, but then you look at the quality that the systems continue to improve. Like you do get what you pay for, and Nintendo is like, it's free, it's free, it's free. Well, you could literally say it's just bunk. It's not good at all. You're never going to use it, and you're going to hate it. Well, let me just throw some dollars at you and make it enjoyable, right? But that part of that, you're supposed to have like this access to this virtual library, almost like the Netflix and Nintendo's history of games. And we haven't heard anything about that, but obviously I think we're supposed to hear about that in 2018 because they delayed their platform launch until then. And the question that I've always had is that, do we really want those old classic titles, or would we rather have a remastered version? Would we rather have a widescreen remastered version of Super Mario World? Would we rather have them take the core games and just remaster it as opposed to having that classic? I don't know the answer to that because
I think you do it like Street Fighter. I think you do it like the Street Fighter game where they come out with a remaster and then they just literally lump the classic, and so it's on.
You
the
can
same,
switch between.
So you can switch between them.
Oh, that's
you can
cool.
see
That's
the original
smart.
graphics. You can see you can.
I like it actually because the Halo Master Chief Collection did that. You could kind of switch between like old and new. I like when you do that because it really kind of draws into that game. Brilliant idea, Chris. We'll send
Especially
you.
if they sell you like a vintage control, like a vintage, like it's meant to be. It connects with the Switch, but it's an actual old, consistent controller.
Well, and they have that, and Nintendo's had the classics. They had the NES Classic, Super NES. I would venture to bet we will see a N64 Classic maybe this year.
Old there.
Well, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
And so I think for me, like I'm looking at Octopath Traveler 2018.
Okay.
We have Lost Sphere coming out in January, which I'm really interested in.
World of Warcraft comes out with another expansion.
World of Warcraft comes out with a new expansion.
Which does question how Final Fantasy XIV is going to respond because they've talked about Stormblood being a longer running expansion.
Yeah.
You can already see that by FanFest pushing. You can already see that by various dates slipping, and yet their live letter schedule is not slipping. So they're pushing these things out. So we could see 4.2. We'll see 4.2 in January, which means we could see 3, 4, 5, and could we see a 4.6?
Yeah, I think we should. One of the problems that we've had with Storm or 14 is that the last patch, the 3.5, the 2.5, it always just like this long time before the expansion dropped. It was a big gap. And then they had a story element that kind of came in with 3.55. And I was always like, why not just make it a 3.6 or 3.7 if you're going to have these longer gaps?
I think they're worried about spending time creating this beautiful dungeon that gets used for a month.
A month, yeah. And I agree with I understand that concept.
With the way roulettes work, it's not disappearing altogether.
No. The question is that does a 4.6 or a 4.7 institute that we're going to get a new Omega raid, or are we going to get a new because right now the expectation,
What's the shift?
The expectation is that you get these new raids on these content drops, but they don't necessarily have to do that. Like we've only expected that up to the 0.5. If we do have a 0.6, 0.7, does that mean we get all these bigger contents, or are those more quality of life updates, or all those more I don't know, who knows what it would be. But we can expect that, like, if we got 4.2 in January, so 4.3, 4.4, we could easily see maybe even 4.5 by the end of the year. It just depends on if they're tight on content, and then that means 4.6, 4.7 into the new year, leading into who knows when we'll see 5.0 if they're gonna be on target for June, or if they're gonna let that push back a little bit more in order to really flesh out the expansion in and of itself. I think all in all, like 14 is going to have an amazing year in 2018, namely because despite the expansions, the content updates are huge. Obviously, we're fans and we're going to keep playing the game, and thus we'll keep talking about it. So it will be pretty big for the channel itself. And I think for players of the game, especially as they try to push more into esports, the question is that will they be successful in 2018?
And that's a shift we're seeing from a lot of games. Esports has generated a phenomenal amount of revenue over 2016 and 2017, and so it's getting a lot of notice. And so a lot more investors are willing to come to various titles and various things as long as they're willing to make that interaction with esports.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does the PvP scene look like in Final Fantasy? What does Nintendo's role in esports play, if any? And you see kind of classics championships, but could we see a more traditional thing? Will League of Legends still hold its spot? You see these big games like Overwatch and League of Legends, but do they make way for something new? And what
will the gaming and esports make its way into the Olympics?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother debate. What does PUBG look like next year, now that it's officially out on PC and should be out roughly E3 time on Xbox officially? This is PUBG's first year. So what does PUBG's rookie year actually look like?
I think it's gonna, from what I've experienced with it, I see why people love it. I love that game. I have so much fun. I got to, I think the highest I placed is 8th so far, and it's just like you're just like, you get this, your hands are a little shaking, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so intense, and you have those just moments of just these firefights, and it's just I think there's definitely work that they have to do, and I think they're going to do it. It will be interesting to see. What I don't know, this is all speculation, but
Fortnite can keep it honest.
Fortnite
can keep it
and
honest,
it's free. You can download Fortnite for free right now, and I did. I haven't played it, but I was just like, all right. I'm gonna check that out. And then we're also looking into Warframe and playing and learning that game as well. I think 2018 games wise, there's just definitely going to be I think we're going to see a repeat of 2017, just a ton of content. The question is that are some of these bigger releases going to be what we want? If I was going to give advice to myself, like if I'm watching this video ever in the future, I would advise myself, don't pre-order anything, Brian.
Yeah, I think we learned that lesson this year. I think they finally burned that bridge.
Question is will everybody get on board with don't pre-order?
I don't know that saving me a little money on DLCs and giving me some extra cosmetics that turn out later to be worthless. They end up not even being the best looking cosmetics. They end up there end up being other things available. Mm-hmm. I think I probably won't pre-order a single game. I think I'm playing way too many games now coming out of 2017. Mm-hmm. So I think in 2018, I kind of need to be really careful about when I pick these games up, as good as they may be.
Right. Sometimes it might be better to wait and see as well as wait and play because from a time perspective, I don't see that 2018 is going to return to me any additional hours.
Monster Hunter World drops in January.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are checking out the beta for that. I've never been a big Monster Hunter guy. I know a lot of people really enjoy it, but I'm gonna wait and see. I'm excited to see that they're getting that Monster Hunter World. That's important. I think that's a really it'll be neat to see where that goes from that perspective. I think when we're talking about in our year review regarding like Xbox and the lack of content, I'd like to see them forge relationships and all these games that are PS4, PC exclusive. That seems so weird because Xbox should literally just be able to play Windows games. It runs Windows. The only thing it doesn't do is mouse and keyboard, and they've hinted at it numerous times that that's coming, and so we just don't know if that's going to happen. But if it doesn't happen in 2018, I think that's too long. I think it's like these games need to come and need to be supported. Microsoft needs to open up the paybook or paycheck and just make it happen. Same thing with cross-play, cross-network play. Sony's been a huge holdout of that. We have to see if that gets corrected in 2018. And I said Microsoft says they're working on it with them with Minecraft, and that's really great to see that franchise, blowing
up.
Well, then you have the kart one. I don't know, Rocket League. That's also cross-play with the exception of PlayStation. I think they said other games, like even Fortnite or something like that, crossplay, they turn it on accident, and they have to turn it off or something like that. I think crossplay has got to happen. I think as a gaming community, you should play on the hardware that you like. But then, we shouldn't be separated by these walls that mean nothing in terms of it. I don't see you're going to have an advantage whether you're on a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X. 4K is not going to really give you that advantage in my mind. I don't think resolution's that great of importance anymore.
Frame rate's everything.
Frame rate is everything.
And they're capping them well below what these systems are capable of.
That's the disappointing part.
So that they can guarantee that even if your system's older, even if your system's struggling, it's doing something weird, that you're always having the same gameplay experience as everybody else. So what games are missing? We still haven't seen a Smash Brothers. We still don't technically have a Pokemon confirmed. We still don't have a Mario Party. We still don't have
2D Mario.
2D Mario. You'll notice a theme here. So far, what I'm missing is Nintendo.
Yeah. I think they're going to deliver. Like if you look at they're like from a Square Enix perspective. Me as a JRPG fan, Square Enix is releasing a lot of JRPGs on the Switch this year. And the fact is that when we talk about time, I'm just like, I love RPGs. I'm going to be playing these RPGs. Yeah. I want Octopath Traveler to get a real name. Project Octopath Traveler, please get it a real name. I don't know if it's going to be a Bravely Default or if it's going to fall in lines with a Final Fantasy, but it's in that. I think it can exist easily in that world. And then they've also talked about more Final Fantasy games coming to the Switch. And if you guys haven't seen the visuals for Octopath Traveler, this game is gorgeous. And what I mean, and I'm doubling down on that is that we talk about Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yep.
I would love to see a Final Fantasy VI remake done in the Octopath Traveler art style. This would be perfect for these old classic 2D Final Fantasy games to be brought into like you look at the iPad and the iPhone versions of and the graphics are, for me, I mean, maybe for somebody new they might enjoy them, but for me it's off-putting. But I could see easy Chrono Trigger. I could see all these games being kind of remastered with this beautiful, they call it HD 2D or something, like 2D HD. And it's mind-blowingly just beautiful, and the simple fade and panels, I could go into the technology behind it. and I would, but I would bore myself.
So, and speaking of that, what else do we see from our other traditional RPG? People like Bethesda. What do they do for 2018? We haven't seen. We could use another Fallout game. We could use another
Elder Scrolls 6, maybe.
We could use another Elder Scrolls. Oblivion coming to the Switch is wonderful.
Skyrim.
Skyrim, sorry. I am not doing well with names today. I can picture the title.
And here's the dragon.
And even being remastered for the X. The 360 version being remastered for the X. Those are awesome things, but those are not new titles.
But Bethesda, I can't even pronounce the name of the studio. You forget the name of the right game.
I got the studio. I cannot get level names or game names.
I can't speak today. I would say that they do play it close to the chest. They didn't announce Fallout 4 until it was 6 months before Fallout 4 came out. I actually appreciate that. I know Sony likes to go and say, hey, they show off games that are 7 years away.
Sony has every idea in the next decade has a trailer already out there.
People are like, oh yeah, the next, the Death Stranding is, they have a new trailer. You're not going to see that game till 2020.
I know.
I'm
They're
glad.
Like, Resident Evil is releasing next month, but we have 2 Resident Evils from now trailer upcoming.
Yeah, Resident Evil 9, it's like, guys, this is coming. When? We'll tell you later. But I think as we build up to E3, I think that's the big thing we're working our way to. We're going to have the Switch is coming up on its 1 year in March. It's going to I think outsell the original Wii U. This is going to be huge news. They're going to make a big deal out of it. It's going to continue to sell. More people have picked up a Switch and I was surprised. I got one, and I was like, hey, so I've been friending my friends list on Switch is building. I'm like, this is great. Now we just need some games that we can really sit back and play together.
And a way to easily play them with each other.
I think it's the communication issue is the biggest throwback.
Right.
And so I think Discord is going to be a huge asset in 2018. It's going to continue to grow. Discord being a great for community and chat. I'm going to default to that when playing Nintendo games because I can't communicate through the device. I'm not going to bring a cell phone. I'm just going to set it up on my computer right here. And I'll be on Discord and I'll be chatting with you guys.
So I think beyond that, there's been a lot of speculation around maybe some good simulation games for next year. There's people who made Cities XL, I think it was.
Are they coming out with a sequel?
No, it's supposed to be like on Mars. It's like a whole like space type thing.
SimCity was a big game that Brandon, the Yeti, and I really enjoyed. Cities XL is something that's always been interesting because it looks like SimCity.
No, it was never as good.
Right.
Brandon and I played it, all through the beta and everything, and we're big SimCity guys, and I would love to see another simulation game. I would love to see something else but that market seems to be shifting more towards like the Euro Trucker and the farming sims, and there's now the Gold Rush sims, but that is not the same as playing City Planner, as playing like big, sims coming to the Xbox. That's pretty cool, the new one. Haven't picked it up, but it's awful tempting.
Oh man, I would love a good sim. I would like, but for me, it would be SimCity. But the fact that like Cities XL going to Mars, that's interesting. The fact that they keep working and updating that game gives me hope because I just haven't seen anything like EA really just like that ties into the bigger conversation of why I'm frustrated with EA.
They buy a studio and then they see if they can make it profitable, and if they can't, they just let it dissolve, and we lose some really great studios like that.
Mm-hmm. The talent can always go. The talent can also go elsewhere, which is like try to follow the developers and the studio, but then the developers, because that will be, I think, heavily important. I guess when we look at 2018 as a whole, my excitement right now is really behind the Switch, and it's really because of JRPGs. That's really where I fall. That's my bread and butter. But we also got an announcement of Soul Calibur 6, and if that falls into 2018, that's great. Soul Calibur is one of my I love that fighting game series. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I think of that game, and as a fighter, Switch Xbox for some reason, Sony locked down Street Fighter. The exclusive things are just like mind-boggling to me now.
How long would we have to wait for another Halo? What is the?
Oh man, I don't think we see Halo 6, but I think we hear an announcement.
Okay.
I think we get an announcement for Halo 6. Halo 6, I think will be in 2019.
And maybe another Gears of War to go with it.
Yeah, but I think Gears of War. Oh man, so Gears of War 4 is phenomenal.
I know you're a big Gears of War fan.
Oh,
I've always preferred Halo over that. But
I love both. Horde mode is the thing I love the most about the Gears series. And really, that actually is like, I really just need to kick back and just play some Gears. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. But who knows? Like, no, maybe we could see a Halo this year. That would be mind blowing.
It'd be a Christmas, and it would be fast. But not too fast.
It's been a couple years.
It's been a couple years.
It's been 2 years already. So this would be 3 years from Halo 5 this year, which is a typical turnaround time that they've had, unless that they're wanting to do something epic with it. 343 did a great job with Halo 5. The problem was no split screen. But I would love to see they're doing some updates for it for the X. They're also doing the Halo Master Chief Collection update for the X, meaning not just visually, but they're working on the network and stuff like that to really kind of help streamline that game.
So it's a lot of titles. It's a lot. It's a long list.
I've already theoretically spent more money in this conversation than I have last year.
Legislation start to consider loot boxes. We could see the ESRB possibly take a role.
They have
ESRB
has to step up.
Because we talk about not wanting government in our games, but if the ESRB, right, if the self-regulating body that operates within games doesn't step up, somebody else has to. And so
if one state passes a gambling law on that,
right,
the effects are going to be
into 2 or 3 other states, and then how long, and this could be happening in other countries. I follow a lot of American news because our news cycle lately is so dominated. We don't get much else. So we're kind of in our little vacuum lately, 2017, and so it would be nice to see how the industry plans on responding. Because you can't just cherry pick a couple of places. You can have things like, Grand Theft Auto ran into some issues in some countries and with certain retailers, and they just didn't market there and they just moved on. But if you start to see that number increase, then you can see something like a title start to fail, or you can see it. And this isn't just that. This is something that affects all publishers. This is a lot bigger than just one title.
Yeah.
This could change the way games are developed. So,
well, right, and we talked about Anthem. I mean, we with what happened. The question is that
Take-Two coming out with a game, right?
Yeah.
Obsidian RPG is saying that maybe I'm mixing up names again, but no
microtransactions. But the big point though is that from a development perspective, and this is really key when we talk about Anthem, I'm excited about it, but it scares me if EA, and I think they were planning on using loot boxes, obviously in Anthem, as a way to help monetize the game. If that is being seen as a negative, if they say they cannot do that. That affects their monetization model. That affects all their outcomes. That could impact the development of the game as we speak. And
maybe we'll get it sooner because they'll run out of money.
Well, guys get it to market. But then essentially what you end up having is that people are like, this isn't finished. This isn't what was perceived. This wasn't what was expected. And then the cycle repeats. And then EA's had a tough year with Andromeda for Mass Effect. And so the question is that are they going to learn the lesson, and are we going to get a better game from Anthem in 2018, if assuming that it's still on target for 2018, or is the changes and the things that happen this fall going to impact Anthem in a negative way, and thus it's either going to be a less experience or it's going to be something that just does not do what we want it to do. And so that's where I'm concerned. Like if I was looking at my concerns for 2018, Anthem is a big one. It's one that I'm going to be following very intently because they've already hooked me on the idea. Not going to pre-order. They are not getting a penny.
And it sets the tone for future major title games out of them and possibly other publishers.
Right. If all of a sudden you're going to say like, hey, we anticipate we're going to make $200 million less. And to help offset that cost, we're cutting $60 million out of your budget, which means features, which means whatever. That has an impact. We could see, kind of almost a knee-jerk reaction because we've talked about it, and I want to say it here. I actually don't have a fundamental issue with the loot box. I have an issue with purchasing a loot box, but I like the concept of just getting this prize box that opens up and it's fun.
I think Halo did it well.
You get these
totally cosmetic, and it was only useful. The guns that came out of it were only useful in a random mode.
You could sell what you got, and then you could buy more packs. So there was a value there,
and there was a value to duplicates. One of the frustrations in Call of Duty is that duplicates just spit out this insulting amount of in-game currency. So I can't imagine dumping real money in and getting duplicates. So I'm just trying to keep us moving along here. So the last thing is, do we expect any hardware release for next year? Switch, obviously, Nintendo's done. Xbox is probably done. PlayStation Pro was recent enough; they might be done.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we have any major hardware pushes for next year. Maybe around VR.
Yeah, I could see graphics cards, like a couple of things like that, get a little bit cheaper, get a little bit more powerful, things like that. Especially in the I want to, like, VR interests me as soon as I don't have the cable running around. If I can have that's where I think we would see the biggest jump with VR. But I'm glad people keep pushing into that area. I do have a PC now that can play VR games. I just don't have the money for a VR set. Or the time. I think it's, there's a financial aspect, but there's also the financial aspect of my time. Like, how many hours can I put into a game?
Oh, yeah. When something's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, we kind of run on this dollar per hours or running joke here. Well, when a game's $60, 60 hours is something I can actually put into a schedule. I can look that far out. I can look 4 weeks, 3 months, know. But 700 hours, that's a ways out there.
Yeah, I think the first 2 quarters, the first half of next year has me really excited for Switch because, again, you said Smash Brothers, you said these games. I honestly think that we'll see if they hold Smash Brothers, they'll hold it to the fall. I don't think it has to be a brand new Smash. I think it just has to be the Wii U with all the DLC, and then maybe add a couple more stages, maybe add some more content, but don't have to reinvent the wheel. I heard such amazing things about
and
Smash.
Make the local play really easy, because it's shocking me the number of friends that have Switches, and if we can just easily hey, join on in. And then literally, like, we're sitting in an airport and some random guy walks up.
And we're playing Smash together.
And in between rounds, he just jumps in the lobby. Like, hey, well, what's the lobby password? Oh, it's 1236. Perfect. That's what I need. I don't need some complex craziness. I don't know. So that's where I'm landing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about where things are headed. I think we talked about a lot of titles that are quite possible. We have a couple of concerns. Mm-hmm. And I think the hardware releases really dominating 2017 is what's going to give the software releases that platform to jump off of in 2018.
You know what the install bases are. They've already made those.
They're developing around it right now.
Those moves, yeah. So it's a matter of then, where does it fall in the year, and
when do we find out?
When do we find out? So it's going to be a fun year. I think we'll see. I think it's gonna. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think 2018 is. There'll be some missteps. Companies will make mistakes, but I'm really happy to really play some more games.
So I'm sure we missed some titles, but we have been talking for nearly a half hour. What titles are we missing? Let us know in the comments section what else Brian needs to add to his imaginary list of games that we've already pre-purchased without pre-ordering.
Yes, don't pre-order.
Yes. That's our one lesson of this year. And what you guys think?
Let us know in the comments below.
This has been Chris with Work to Game.
And Brian.
Thank you so much for watching.
And take care. Hey, Chris, your shirt's pretty looking.
Honestly, it doesn't have Work to Game anywhere on it, but I like to support the channel.
Yeah.
So,
well, you can do that and also have a good looking shirt.
I don't really want that shirt. You think maybe it could be a different shirt? Well, cool. I think I'm going to click on one of the links somewhere around here, and I'm going to go see what we got.
Hello. It's really, really, really good.
You guys have a great day.
Take care.
You probably have a pretty shirt on.